Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Atlanta SEO for Local Businesses Meetup. I am Trisha Clements and wanted to welcome you all and let you know that we have this meetup the second Wednesday of the month at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So it is every month we've got this. Make sure you check out our YouTube video channel. We've got our videos on there, our Facebook group. And then also we are on Meetup, and that's where you'll get the links to the Zoom and everything. I have all of those links in the chat, so make sure that you go ahead and get that information. So today, let's see, what you can do is if you have questions throughout, just go ahead and put them in the chat and we will get to them at the end. But I want to go ahead and get started because today we have Claire Carlile who is joining us. And she's going to be talking about her 10-point guide to monitoring your Google business profile. Claire is in Wales, and so she is BrightLocal's local search expert. And she has Claire Carlile Marketing, and she helps businesses of all sizes make the most of local search opportunities and allows her to provide real-world skills and expertise to what BrightLocal does. So with that, I'm going to let Claire just take over and teach us a lot of things today.
Oh, thank you. So big thank you to you, Trisha, and to Andy, who's not here, for having me along. And it is nice to meet you all. I can see some of you. So I am planning to run through my slide deck, which, as Trisha says, is about monitoring Google business profiles. So I will share my screen in a moment. I just wanted to say my background in marketing goes back quite a long way. I've been working with small businesses, medium-sized businesses, and then more recently, more enterprise businesses for about 20 years. So I like to think of myself as sort of a local business marketer first and an SEO second. That's just a little bit of my background there. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and you can watch me get the size and shape of my presentation wrong. And let me do that now. So, don't want that. Slideshow. Cool. So Perfect. There we are. Everyone happy? See that? You can hear me?
Yep, and we can see it.
Thumbs up.
Perfect.
Good. So what we will do today is I'm just going to run through briefly. How long have we got, Trisha? I think you're muted.
We usually end at 12:30. We like to have a little time at the end for Q&A. So
cool. Yeah. I think this is probably going to be about half an hour. I will spin through it quite quickly. And then if anyone's got any questions.
I'm sure we'll have lots of questions.
Fabulous. So I am imagining that the people that are here might be managing business profiles for local businesses, either on behalf of themselves as local businesses or on behalf of clients, local businesses. So I'm imagining that you probably have some experience of local profiles, what they look like, what you can do with them. And hopefully I will be able to dig a little bit deeper and give you some, bonus tips and tricks on that. So we'll look at the context for actually monitoring Google business profiles. GMB here, we like to interchange them and use all the different names and be as confusing as possible. And then I'm going to give you 10 pieces of the business profile puzzle to monitor. And then at the end, I like to give a resource, something which is tactical and actionable for you to actually go away and work with for yourself or for your clients. Okay, so a little bit like Netflix, you never really finish working on your Google business profile. So we need to go ahead and we need to monitor it for a number of different reasons as we go along within a time frame that can sometimes even be daily. And so I think there's lots of reasons why we need to keep an eye on our business profiles, but three of the main reasons are something that we're very used to seeing, which is changes in the way that the actual SERP looks. And when I say that, I mean looking at mobile devices, at desktop devices, and thinking about how your information is pulled into the actual result that someone might get when they're searching for a product or service that your business offers. So in the olden days, when life was good, there used to be 10 blue links in the SERP, and we were thinking, I want to be 1, 2, or 3. That's where the clicks are. And then as life went on, the Google Places or Google, whatever it was called, through all the various iterations of what we work in now, has changed the look and feel in the SERP and how it looks and what it does. So back in the day, you used to be able to click through to a business's actual website from the 3-pack. And then as we go through time, Google is working to actually answer questions and allow people to take actions actually in the search engine results page itself. So they don't have to go to your business website. So we're seeing lots of changes there. This is just a little screenshot of Damien Rollinson seeing a very, if anyone works with local service ads, you're seeing like a very service ad type layer being applied to the local finder for some service-based businesses. But it changes all the time. And the thing that we sort of hold in our hearts is that essentially Google is being the new homepage for our businesses, or the place where it wants to have the transaction or the conversions and keeping people there. So make sure that you know what is going on in the SERP, especially for your brand. And then we've got changes in the way that buyers search and make choices. So if you're a big fan of consumer behavior, this might be something that you've always been interested in. But I think this is something that has really piqued our interest and our need to understand, especially in during COVID, where basically the way that we shop, the way that we action, the way that we search fundamentally changed in so many different ways. We know that people use their mobiles for lots of different things. So a lot of traffic to your website is likely generated from a mobile phone, and a lot of traffic to the actions that people can take on your Google business profile are also generated via mobile phones. So if we think about the things that might be affecting us now as marketers and business owners and the way people search, a lot of people have been talking about visual search for a couple of years now, but it's, if you've used Google Lens, it's a great way of making a search visually by taking a photo, so there are no words involved. Obviously, it's using Google's Cloud Vision API, etc., etc. But having a little think about how visual search will change the way that your ideal customers are searching, and making sure that fundamentally your images reflect the products and services that you offer, because Google will be using the same way that it uses text to understand your business. Google will also be using images to understand what it is, what you do, and who you serve. And then we have things like volume changes in terms of pre-existing search queries, and then we also have brand new search queries. So what do we have? It was a curbside pickup was a big thing, and in the UK, I can't remember what our equivalent of curbside pickup was, but it was something that no one would have used before. And then suddenly we have this massive search volume, and making sure that we can optimize our content and our business listings around the way that people search and the words that people use. Near me obviously is a thing. We're local marketers, but people will now append and add additional modifiers to the near me, open now, in stock, etc., etc. So having an awareness of those. And then joy of all joys, features in Google Business Profile itself. It never stands still. It's always changing. So this was just today. It might have been there for a couple of days. I just noticed this today. So if you're using Google products and you have been thinking, oh, I know, I'm going to try different calls to action, and I am going to have my full price range, etc., etc. So Google is taking away the option of choosing your CTA on your buttons, and it's going to stop the price range. So just little things like that affect us as we go along. Is anyone really enjoying the new merchant experience or the insert editing function or whatever it's called this week? Probably not. So if you're used to using the old Google Business Profile dashboard, which I definitely was, then getting your head around navigating to all the things that you need to do via the insert or the NMX, which is this, that's been a challenge. And then things die. So we start to use things and we think they're quite useful. For example, Profile Manager, if you used a short name for your business and you used to use that short name in your review requests, that died a while ago. So you need to check that to make sure that it's still working, because it probably isn't if you've used it in the past. And then we've got interactivity and user-generated content, because it's not just us that can affect what appears in our profiles. Reviews are probably the first thing that springs to mind when we think about other people's content that appears in our profile. So reviews are super important. We also have question and answer, which can be very visible within a business profile. We have got messages. So if you've turned on messaging and someone messages your business, you need to monitor that and you need to answer those questions. Otherwise, you're doing all sorts of bad things to your brand and to your business. And then what was this one? Oh, that was another little tab. So if you're used to the updates tab in your Google business profile just being your Google posts, you might be surprised when you find that actually that's not the only thing that appears there. User-generated content also appears there. So that needs monitoring and sometimes needs policing, and it also needs replying to show that you're an interactive brand that cares about what people are saying about your business. So don't panic, there's a lot of moving parts. What we're going to do is run through those 10 things and give you some ideas about how to do that. So I think one of the most important thing is actually monitoring the search engine results page itself. So if we start off thinking about, well, what about for my brand name? And then you might like to also monitor maybe for, I don't know, how much time you've got, maybe some 5 really important search queries. So you're thinking about, how does your profile look? How full is it? How click-worthy is it? How appealing is it? All of those things. Is there user-generated content on there that maybe paints your brand in a bad light? And then think about that for your competitors too. Are they using things that you're not using? Have they got access to things that you haven't got access to? So those are the questions that we ask to make sure that our business profile is the one that really pops and encourages people to click on. So if you are a single business, single location, it might be that you can just do these things yourself. You can have a look for your branded search, have a look at your non-branded search, your primary search queries, take a look in the map pack, local finder, your business profile, look on Google Maps on a desktop, look on Google Maps on an app, maybe on an Android, maybe on an iOS. And then think about the different locations as well, where your searches are actually going to be searching from, if you're targeting people that aren't standing next to you. So how can you do that? Well, one is you can actually just use your eyes. So for a small business, you're going to be able to do that. Apart from that, you might find that you want to use some sort of monitoring tools, so you have some sort of record of that. So one way that you can do that is using BrightLocal, their local search grid. If you're already using that, it keeps your data, I think, for 90 days. So it's worth getting that screenshot of the local finder and saving it somewhere, maybe in a folder, either in Google Drive or somewhere that you know where it is, because it's not going to hold it for more than 90 days. My super duper, very lovely tool that Cindy Crum runs, Mobile Moxie, is fantastic. So I use this. I think it can be quite reasonably priced. So I use this to monitor for brand name queries for, you know, all of my clients and other people that I'm interested in monitoring within my niche. And I can see what the SERP looks like, you know, up to every day on any device from any location. So it's such an awesome tool. You can get 5 free searches, I think it is, a day. But it's a brilliant tool. And it just really flicks people out of that, well, that's not what I'm seeing mentality. If you've got a client that's saying, well, I didn't see it like that. And then you say, okay, well, this is what someone searching in this device from this location on this street for this search term will be seeing. So it is a really, really powerful tool to open people's eyes with regard to how location actually does affect the SERP. So the second thing is to monitor the actual search landscape itself. And by that, I mean, what is happening generally, in our industry, what is happening with, Google. And one of the things that I love reading, which is Think with Google is such an undervalued resource in terms of consumer behavior trends and using it to understand, clues as to where Google is going to go next with things. So rather than going, oh, I see visual search is actually a thing. If you'd read the blog about visual search 2 years ago, you would have known that this was a thing that Google was going to be spending lots of time to get people to understand and to adopt. So Think with Google is one of my favorite places. If you're in the UK, you'll get UK trends. If you're in the US and Canada, you'll get trends for those places. There's so much stuff in there. I really recommend it, especially for little sound bites and those little consumer behavior insights. Sterling Sky, you might have heard of, is a brilliant local SEO agency in Canada, and they have a really good free resource which is called Timeline of Local SEO Changes. So when anyone sees anything, they'll pop it in there, and then you'll get a year by year, month by month, and that's really good for you to understand any key changes that are happening within that space, so you can make sure that you've accommodated those changes in your own marketing or for your clients. And then BrightLocal, a lot of my time is spent on creating resources for BrightLocal, so information in the hub, have really, really good webinars. They do a lot of research. There's a lot of, newsy blog posts, but there's also a hub all around Google Business Profile where each single feature in Google Business Profile is covered in some detail. And obviously we work hard to try and keep that updated because things do change very regularly. So you can treat that as a resource for learning about various parts of the Google Business Profile puzzle. And then there's the BrightLocal Academy, which is free. All you need to do is just have a login where you can go and you can do free courses then from, people that actually work in local SEO. So I recommend that. I need to update this actually. If anyone's got any brilliant resources that they want to recommend to me, I've got a resource on my site, which is people to follow on Twitter, webinars, tools, free, lots of free things, basically. So take a little look at that. Number 3, you want Google to tell you when something changes or when you need to do something. Now, this is not intuitive and it does change quite often. So this is what I have found yesterday on, on how you tell Google that you want to know all the things. So if you want to get emails, so I'm thinking of this very much from a sort of small business perspective. If you want to receive emails, you can go to the NMX, this insert editing experience, click on the 3 little dots to the right-hand side. You'll see then a drop-down notifications. So if you click on there, then you can choose and you can say, I want to know about these things. And now the important things are sort of someone makes a booking, someone leaves a Q&A, there's a review. Basically, everything can be ticked there. And in my experience, if you're only managing a few businesses, then that's a really great way to stay on top of it, especially if you're, a sole operator, everything is coming in and out of your phone. You can respond to things on Google Maps straight away. And then you've got your mobile notifications. So a lot of this used to be managed via the GMB app, rest in peace, which has gone. And so basically Maps has become this sort of hybrid world of you as a consumer navigating the world and interacting with businesses, but also you as a marketer and business owner interacting with your consumers. So it's actually really confusing. So if you go into notifications in Google Maps, you will see that you will also be able to turn on your notifications and you can get things pinging on your phone, basically, on if you really, really need to know that someone has asked you a question or written you a review, then you can make everything ping. So this is what the mess of my Google Apps notifications. What I haven't shown there is, so the middle tab at the top, notifications, that will show where I've been, but also it will show things to do with all the businesses that I manage. And then in the messages tab, you can toggle between your personal messages, businesses that you might have messaged because you want to know, are they open and are they stocking your favorite protein shake? And then you know, basically all the businesses that you manage are in there. So you can operate, if you're using your phone as a small business, it is a sort of easy way to respond to all your messages. If you're managing for multiple businesses, I think it's worth keeping in mind that notification changes do appear to be applied at account level. So if I turn off notifications thinking I don't want to hear from that business that I'm managing that's got 20 locations, then I've actually effectively also turned it off for all my individual locations that I work with. That's what I've noticed. I haven't dug into that super deep, but I think that's the case. So if you're managing a gazillion billion profiles, or even just 10 or 15, you might find that you don't want to rely on all of this. You actually need to use some third-party tool. It's not going into your emails. It's not going into your phone. It's actually going into a third-party place that you log in. You know, Uberall, Reputation. If you're clever and you've got developers, then people can work with the GMB API to set something up for themselves. So that's for more at scale. So the next thing is to measure using UTM tagging. So just to explain what that is, people go to your business profile, they can do lots of things, and we're often asking ourselves, but what's the value of that? What does that, how much money does that make me? How many bookings has that got me? How many newsletter signups? Anything that might be of value to your business, you need to understand, how does Google Business Profile actually contribute to helping you meet your business goals in that sense? So we have got, this used to be called Google Business Profile Insights. It's now called Performance. And so you can access that via the NMX. And it does tell you some super useful things. But what you need to remember is metrics from here are metrics from here. You can't compare metrics from Google Business Profile to the metrics that you might get from your call tracking software, or the metrics that you get from your Google Analytics. So this will tell you things like how many people called your business, how many people messaged you, how many bookings you got if you're working with a third-party bookings provider that has works with Google Business Profile. Directions request, that's also a really useful metric because it shows intent to visit, especially if you have a bricks and mortar store. And then we have website clicks. But what it's worth keeping in mind here, that website clicks, as far as I know, only measures clicks on the visit website button on your Google Business Profile. But if you are being super savvy, you will have got lots and lots of different links to your website from your Google Business Profile. So that's one way to get a little bit of information. But what it doesn't tell us is the people that click through to your website, basically, we have a box, an empty box. We don't know what they did when they got here. And as marketers and business owners, we really want to know that. So the way that we can do that is by adding unique tags to the end of the URLs that we use in our Google Business Profiles. We only use these tags for our external links, and we only use these particular types of tags for our Google Business Profile. And it gives us insight then when we go into analytics, and then we can also use it to gain insight from Search Console into how people are using our website. So I've written a guide in how to do it here on this link. And also that includes a Google Sheet that will basically, you just drop your URLs in and it will automatically tag them. All you need to do then is then just go and copy and paste them into your Google Business Profile. I will say to you, be careful when you're making updates to your Google Business Profile. You might have had some problems with suspensions, and I have had suspensions just from changing the primary URL. So don't just go, oh yeah, 6,000 more new links, let's just chuck them all in. I'd probably maybe do one and then wait 20 minutes and then and then do the other one just in case. Okay, so traffic from Google Business Profile in Google Analytics. If we do not add this tagging, the traffic is going to either end up in the direct bucket, which basically is Google's way of saying, oh, I don't know where this came from, let's just chuck it in the direct, or it's going to end up in the organic bucket. So that might sound okay. Well, it is organic traffic, but it's not okay because it just gets bunched in with all the regular organic traffic that comes from a click on one of your other links that isn't in your, from your Google business profile. So once we've thrown all of those links together really carefully in a consistent way and kept a record of them in this sheet, we can see how much value Google Business Profile is actually driving by using our analytics. So we can see if you've got e-commerce enabled on your website, you can actually see what GMB is driving in terms of revenue. And if you UTM tag up your Google Business Profiles in a consistent way, according to the different types of things that you are tagging up, you can also see which parts are worth investing in. So you might say, oh, I spent all this money putting together these Google products, but do they drive value? So, yes, it takes you an hour to put together the graphics and the words or whatever. But if that is delivering revenue month on month, even if it's only £50 or $50, it's paid for itself within a few months. So it's something that you can do to either show yourself the value of what you're doing or show to your clients the value of what you're doing. Apart from e-commerce conversions, you have hopefully, and also this is all the old Google Analytics. This is not GA4 because, like anyone, I haven't actually done that yet, but we'll get around to it. So in theory, your goals, what you need to measure. So hopefully once you've set it all up on GA4, you'll be able to measure these things too. So these are some things that are important to a business that I work with. So does someone go to the website and then click on the click to call? Do they sign up to it for a newsletter? Do they click through to social media profiles? What do they do, basically? Anything that's important as a micro conversion to that business, we can understand what Google business profiles are actually driving. If you've got multiple business profiles and you are tagging up your Google business profiles separately, you can also see the value of your different locations. And what those are doing. So you might find, oh, well, that location got 60 calls. Why is that location only got 30 calls? And you can start to look at those profiles and understand, well, it might be because you haven't responded to the reviews, or you don't have any new photos, or it goes through to the wrong phone number. It could be any of those things. Another thing is, just in terms of it allows us to get very granular with our data. So rather than saying we have this many clicks from business profile to the website, we can say we have this many clicks from this different product, from this different product, from this post, and anywhere else that we can link from. Oh, number 5, we can monitor and plan for local search justifications. So I'm just going to have a drink of tea. So if you haven't heard of a search justification before, I think that it is a term that has been around for a while, but I always think of it as something that Google does in the search engine results page that sort of proves why that result is on the page beyond the algorithm. So when you think about when you make a search and you just look at a normal result, if something is bolded, that's like a justification. That lets us know why that result might be there. So when we used to talk about justifications, we used to focus purely on, well, this is my thoughts on justifications in the map pack. But I think justifications is going to stand for any feature in the SERP that encourages click-through because Google is using it to justify why it has placed that there. So we'll just run through some of the things that Google currently does, but it's quite likely there'll be more things in a month or a couple of months' time. So just thinking about, we don't have any data on this because no one's done any tests. But if we think about how when we search, if we're searching, say, for example, for what might we be looking for? Organic hair products in the SERP. And we see a result that has been marked up with product schema, and it has got a star rating, and it's got price, and it's got reviews. Even if it's not number 1 or number, it might be number 3, it might encourage, well, it's going to probably encourage click-through if it's good, because it draws your eye to that. So there's been testing on various other SERP features, but I think that the idea that it increases click-through is very likely for the local pack listings as well. So here are some examples of justifications in the map pack. So the idea is that you would be looking at the SERP for where you want to be ranking to understand what Google is pulling in from your competitors, or maybe from you, and that you can tweak. So reviews is something that Google will pull in to justify that search result. So this was a search for emergency dentist Anchorage. So I'm not saying that these reviews using these words are, because I don't like a ranking factor, but what they are is they're contributing somewhere to how Google understands that business. And then Google is pushing that out into the SERP because it thinks it has relevance for the searcher. Therefore, it's going to be useful for conversion. So here we have a couple of review justifications. And if it's a review justification, the little icon with the circle and the person in it, that means it's a review justification. So this is just digging a little bit deeper into that idea of reviews and using reviews to understand how Google understands our business. If you click through on your business and you have a little look at the lozenges, which is where Google has themed and pulled out themes in your reviews, you can see that emergency dental was one of the themes that Google sees as important for that business because it's finding it in 6 of the reviews. Not necessarily those words in that order, because Google analyzes it semantically rather than in an exact match way. So it sees that this emergency dental is something that comes up quite a lot for this business. This is like the easiest, most obvious one to think of, really. Google pulling in a website justification because it sees that your website mentions the search term that someone is looking for. So here we've got the emergency dentist, it's Delaney Park Dental. And when we go to their website and a little bit further on in the actual search results, we'll see that, oh, look, well, that's the page that it thinks is very relevant to this. And that's the page itself. You know, look at the H1, look at the content on the page. It's actually using the words that people are searching for. You know, it seems obvious, but we need to make sure that we've got, you know, our belt and braces approach to making sure that we show relevance. And then we have services justifications. So if you, we'll go through services in a moment, but what that does is it sort of pulls in the secret sauce in a way, because services doesn't appear anywhere apart from on your Google business profile on a map. So it's a really weird little thing that you're feeding into Google that it doesn't really see anywhere else. So here it's pulling in, someone is searching for coasteering near Fishguard. If you don't know what coasteering is, it's something that we do here. It's just basically when you jump off cliffs into the sea. So you can see at the bottom, Prezelli Venture providing coasteering for adults and families. That's one of their services that they have populated, and that's being pulled through into the SERP. I know that would earn a click from me, that's for sure. And there we see Prezelli Venture, that's their services in their Google business profile. They're really, they've taken the time to fill that out, even though that they know it's not on the website. Some people might not even see it, but they know that it feeds the machine in terms of, you know, this is the information that Google will use to populate those services. And also, we don't know how many people actually consume the services content because we have no way of knowing. But, you know, I consume it, so I imagine other people will. And then I don't know if any of you run food-based businesses or you work in the restaurant trade. Another one is menu highlights. So if you are using the menu highlights, and then that can get pulled through into the business profile as well. So how to influence them? Well, why would we want to influence them? Well, we think that influencing local search justifications will positively influence click-through on our businesses, even if we're not ranking number 1. So that's why we would do it. So one of the ways that we can do it is if we have UTM tagged up our URLs, when we use Google Search Console, we will be able to filter to see the search queries that came in that drove a click on one of those UTM tagged URLs. I think I give you a sheet how to do this in a minute. But so basically you go into your Search Console, you're looking at your data for the longest period or whatever it is that you want to look at. You're looking I think I was looking at, I think I negatived out brand name mentions because I only wanted to see non-branded queries that were driving traffic. And then I just added GMB because I knew that GMB didn't appear anywhere else in the URL apart from in my UTM tags. But anyway, it all becomes obvious when I give you the sheet. So this is what that told me. It told me that people that were seeing my Google business profile, but then went on to click the Google business profile, were searching for these types of phrases. So it might be that some of those are just like core search terms. It might be that those are modified search terms that contain other important parts of a phrase. And the way that we might also find out about those other important parts of phrases are looking at our GMB insights data. The keyword data in there isn't awful and it is often overlooked. It's actually now available via the API, but you only used to be able to get it just by copying and pasting it from Insights. So look at that and go beyond the key terms. Okay, so if you're offering manicure, why have I chosen manicuring? I don't know anything about nails. If you've chosen manicuring as your key term, then think about all the other parts. You know, what do they want low cost? Do they want gels? Do they want it today? Do they want it available to book? All those different modifiers, you need to think of those to make sure it's reflected in the way that you speak about your business. Think also about attributes in Google Business Profile, because Google introduces and takes away attributes quite regularly. So click into your profile to see what Google is offering, because it is quite likely, given consumer behavior and Google's insight into the way that people search, obviously these terms are going to reflect how people search. So make sure that you are reading them and taking them into account. This is brilliant. I think this is still live. Crystal wrote this looking at all the different attributes in all the different, most popular primary categories. So you can understand the types of attributes that are available to businesses across lots of different niches. And then if any of you have poked around in when Google says, know this business, and had a look what it asks about your business or about your competitors' businesses, that's what you need to be looking at. If Google is focusing on accessibility, then why aren't you focusing on accessibility? If Google is focusing on value for money, are you thinking about value for money and whether or not you have a value for money offering? And then when you leave a review, another clue that Google gives you is these lozenges. So is professionalism, responsive, good value, good quality? Make sure you check in every now and again to see what Google is offering for your business. So when you've done all that, what you need to do is map out those against the justifications that are going to be easy for you to influence. So the easiest things to influence are your services, because you can just go and do those. Then it's your website, which you can do, but you might need a little bit of help depending on, which page, where is that going to go? Is this going to affect my information architecture? How is this going to work? And then reviews. And I won't go into how we can influence reviews and the words that people use, because we could do that. And Tricia's probably done it I haven't rewatched everything, but she's very clever and she will have talked about that at some point, I feel sure. I'm going to run through, because this is everyone awake still? I can see, who can I see? Some people that, yeah. Okay. Photos. So we know that we are visual beings. We spend our times on, it used to be Pinterest, now it's Instagram. We curate our images very carefully, professionally and personally, to try and get people to think of us in a certain way. So if we know that, why do we allow things like this to happen to our business profiles? This is the first thing that someone will see when they look for Pandora to buy a beautiful piece of jewellery in Yate in England. This would have been what they would have seen about a year ago. Now, managing photos in the NMX is not as nice as it used to be trying to manage photos in the Google Business Profile dashboard. So I'm just going to run through what you can actually do to try and monitor and manage your photos. So photos is one of those things where anyone can upload a photo and tag it as your business. Is that good? I don't know. You have to go and have a look to see what photos people are uploading to your business profile. Can be good, can be absolutely awful. So the way to do that in the current iteration of how we access our photos is go to the, don't go to add photos, actually click on the photo in your business profile. And then that will take you to sort of a panel. Then you need to choose latest in the tabs. Now, rather unhelpfully, that will also include your photos. It used to be that it used to separate them out into by owner, by user, and you also used to be able to sort by date. So you can't do any of that useful stuff anymore. So what you'll need to do is just, go and have a look at the photos and have a look at the photos in this context. So it might be that some of those photos you really, don't like, and it might be that you can actually do something about those photos. So any photo that gets added by a user needs to be in line with Google's format specific criteria, which you can see here and you can read about in more detail. And it's another thing to stay on top of and be aware of, because you might find that those rules change. But the most is like screenshots, stock photos, GIFs, anything with a load of photo overlay. My biggest one is blurry images and images that weren't actually taken at the location. Those seem to be the ones that I have the most luck in removing. So if you've got that, this is an example. I work with two businesses that they're like sister, brother businesses. So they have a similar name, but they're completely different. One is a holiday park. That's somewhere that you go and stay on your holidays. One is a zoo, which is somewhere that you look at camels. So it's not very useful for the holiday park to have a photo of a camel on its location, on its page. So what you can do is, if you find an image which you need to remove because it's not actually taken at that location, or it's really bad quality, you just click on the little flag, you say what it is, what's the issue here. Not a photo of this place or poor quality is normally what I have had, but I have had things that are offensive, hateful and sexually explicit and legal issues before. So just go through it, have a look and mark it up. I think that Google will probably move very quickly on something that was in the first 2 or 3. Another thing to keep an eye on is, we were speaking about photo updates, so we were talking about where people can basically post content and it will appear on your post tab. Even if you haven't visited a location, if you go to that Google business profile, Google might invite you to rate and review that place or add a highlight from that place, add a photo or a video. You don't even need to have been to that place. Okay, so I could upload a photo here, right here, and that can cause a little bit of a problem. I haven't got my example because it was a bit not safe for work. But what can happen is someone uploads a photo and it actually appears in your business profile on a desktop, an unrelated photo, nothing to do with your business. It still exists as a feature. I think we're not talking about it just because it's so easy to spam. I'll stop talking about it now. But for your business, you do need to monitor it. And helpfully, there's no way of monitoring it aside from actually going and having a look in that updates tab. Aha, thank you, Google. So go in there, check the photo, check what the content is, report it if it needs removing, because in the context of some of the stuff that I have seen, it definitely could need removing. And then you've got your own images. You need to keep your images fresh and relevant. And you can see the ones that your business has uploaded by looking at the owner tab. So making sure, coming back to what we were talking about in Google's, visual search and Google's Vision API, the sense that it makes of your images, you need to think about what products and services are you offering? Which ones did you used to offer? How do you look now in this moment, at this time of year, in COVID, in masks, not in masks, wiping things down, not wiping things down, having hand sanitizer on the table or not having and it's very much people look at these photos to understand, is this the place for me? Is this somewhere that I'm going to feel safe? Is this somewhere that's going to be good for me? Think about seasonality and think about monitoring your own photos regularly. Another thing to think of is the image that shows in your business profile. apart from in your actual branded business profile, which can be user generated, it's not always going to be your primary image that shows. Google is going to make sense of your photos, and it is going to use the photo in your Google business profile that makes the most sense for that search. So you'll see that a lot in retail. If someone's looking for an oak table near me, I'm not getting a photo of the front of the oak table shop with its staff and something else. I'm seeing a photo of an oak table that they have uploaded. So that's the place that it was bringing in. That's the primary image. So one of the things is just making sure that you have got the main photos of your categories. You've got some images that can sit there. You know, if you know that people are looking for oak tables and you sell oak tables, make sure you have an oak table image that Google sees as an oak table image, because that can get pulled through to your profile. It's going to encourage clicks. So if you want to add photos to your business profile, you go into the NMX, add a photo. You've got general photos, you've got your logo, and you've got your cover photo. And I'm going to really razz through this quickly. Cover photos aren't necessarily always the ones that we want to show. You need to go in and check what Google is showing. A thing that has happened in the UK and sometimes happens in the UK and some other European countries is that Google will not show or will not populate images from Google Business Profile. The images will be sourced actually from image search on Google. So go and have a little look just to make sure what's showing for your clients, for your own business. If you find that it's showing image search on a desktop or on a mobile, make sure that it's an image from your own website and isn't from somewhere else. So that's something just to keep an eye on, to understand that Google sees things differently. So you need to monitor that, you need to test it, and you need to check that in all the important locations, because what you see in America or elsewhere isn't necessarily the same place as what someone will be seeing elsewhere. Google products. Oh, Trisha, you're going to. I'm running out of time, aren't I? I'm just like this. I'll go. Do you want me to just razz? I'll just go.
We've got about 15 minutes, so you can.
Okay. All right. So if you're using Google products and you have access to Google products, then you should use them. Most people have them. If you sell alcohol, guns, cannabis, or adult entertainment, you won't have them. This is what they look like on a desktop. They take up loads of real estate, and they look awesome, and they earn click-through, and they're great. And an individual product itself actually also gives you the opportunity to link through to that landing page as well. So why you wouldn't add them, I do not know. That's what they look like. But you can't just put them up and then go, well, there we are, that's done. The price might change, the availability might change, the URL might change. The last thing you want is all of this lovely content appearing in your business profile leading to a 404 error page. The features, the functionality of that product might change, and you might need to update your images. So they are manually curated. This is not done via a feed. So I would recommend just choosing a few of your evergreen products in your most important categories and adding those manually. So you need an image, you need the product name, the category, you need to know your information about the product itself. And as we saw earlier, it's not going to have a price range from now on. It will just have the one price. So this is a little sheet that I've made for you, which is a place that you can keep a record of all your products and all of your services, so you never have to redo them if something horrible goes wrong. It also adds automatic UTM tagging to your products, so you can get your own copy of that sheet on that URL there. That's what it looks like. So you just fill that in for your own business. That's the UTMs. And then services. We saw that services has been undervalued in the past, but it actually is very, very important. So you add the services, they only show on a mobile, but they get pulled in to the local finder as justifications. So this was when we first started seeing that in June 2021. So Google basically wants to populate this section. And if you do not populate this section yourself and keep an eye on it, Google will just scrape nonsense. It's like not nonsense because it's from your website, but it doesn't make sense in the context of this is my service offering. So this is a local business that I checked just before I came on to speak to you. And it's like, they don't offer paddle boarding or a lot of those different things. Where has it come from? So Google is basically saying to you, oh, we've added all these. I hope you like them. So you need to go in and get rid of them if they're not relevant. And again, here's the spreadsheet where you can add your own services and just copy and paste them over into your Google products. So Q&A, if you played around with Q&A, it's actually a function of Google Maps rather than Google Business Profile. And that information then gets pushed through into Google Business Profile itself. So it came along in 2017. People can ask questions, and sometimes pre-populated stuff can answer those questions for them. And then sometimes it actually, they need to actually post a question. It appears in the business profile like this. Sometimes it appears like this, which is much nicer. We want those important questions to be first, and we want it to show natively in the profile. So the way that we do that is we basically just upvote. We can manually curate these as business owners. There's no reason that we can't do that. So you add 3 thumbs up. I think it's to 2 questions. Trisha, can you remember how many it is? 3, 2, 3, 2, 3.
I think it's 3 thumbs up to 2 questions or 2 questions.
And then, that's it. And then it will appear natively. And then the questions with the most number of thumbs up will show at the top. So you can affect your own business profile. Monitor and respond, because if you don't, there's loads of misinformation out there. Google Guides will just gamify the process and write a load of nonsense, and it's not going to reflect well on your business. And sometimes, the answers, is there a chamber of horrors? No. Have you sorted out your horrendous queuing system, or do you still herd punters like cattle? No. This isn't monitored, and people are talking about you, and you need to get in there to make sure that you're sort of contributing to the conversation. You can ask and answer your own questions. So helpful Andy Simpson helping me by asking some questions in my business profile that I wanted to appear at the top. And again, let Google know that you want to know about Q&As when they appear, so they email you through. You can use third-party tools. Postomatic is free, and you can use GatherUp, which I think is quite low cost. And so again, questions, there are guidelines. If the question is contravening one of the guidelines, you can actually get it removed. You have to say why. Off topic, doesn't apply. It's spam, it's hateful language, etc., etc. And then the best thing to do, save time as a business. If you've got a common Q&A, you want to write a nice, friendly, on brand, with a good tone of voice answer. So why don't you pre-populate them and then use them as your pro forma and just add a little bit to each one when you copy and paste them over, and make sure that you give access to anyone that's doing your customer service function for your business. Finally, you need a schedule. There's a lot of stuff here. So you need to work out who's going to do what. Who's going to learn all the things? Who's going to read all those blogs and read all the stuff from all of the agencies that are putting together and the software providers, all the useful content? What else needs monitoring? Reviews, messaging, measurement, Google posts. What's your internal resource? Because you can't do all this yourself if it's just you. So just work out what's important and how often you're going to do it. How are you going to monitor it? Is it going to be manually, or are you going to use tools, and how often? So you don't have to do that. I made you a monitoring framework so you can go ahead and make a copy of that and then just use it for your own business. And it just is my little list of things that I try and keep an eye on, and I say how often I'm doing it. But for your business, you can go through and think about who's going to do it and when. And then, it's an iterative process. Add the things on as and when you see them. That is it. Thank you very much. I've got some people in front of me, so I can see some faces and some nodding. So hopefully you find that valuable. Thank you for sticking with me the whole way through.
Yes, thank you so much. I think, let's see, we had a couple little questions, and I think you actually answered one of them. Let's see, David asked, is there a way to be notified about the visitor updates, kind of like visitor posts? And that was something that you said that right now there isn't.
I don't think so. I don't even know if anyone's actually looking at them. No.
Yeah. So, let's see. And then we had, let's see, another question. Karen said, can you add that to the monitoring framework list too? So I'm not sure what we were talking about, Karen, when you were doing that. You've got a couple.
Oh, yes. Yeah, okay. Add it. Definitely add it, please. I'll go and add it to my version as well. Yeah, updates, because that needs to be a manual thing. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Karen has a question here. She says, she's a client that's a custom home builder. They're getting lots of calls, but many are for small fix-it jobs or building a deck instead of custom home building. So it looks like they do the whole custom home and they're getting small fix-it jobs. How can they change the profile to make sure it's just custom homes or high dollar renovations?
I probably look at I probably look at the people that are most like you and see, first of all, just look at category to see if there's any difference in primary category, just in terms of, well, is this going to manage expectation better? And if it's not that, just make sure that the photos that you have on the profile reflect that, the words that you use reflect that, and maybe even have it in your, you've got the business description, we are the whatever leaders in high value, whatever. But yeah, whatever those words are that you need to use to describe what it is that they do, then just make sure that you use them. It's the same as if you're working with clients and someone emails you through and says, I've got a website that my nephew built. Could you have a little look at it? And then you email back and you say, oh, it's lovely. Thank you. But I work with businesses, that have this budget, and then that filters it all out in a very kind and nice way. And you can do that just by making sure you've got the right information showing in the business profile.
Okay. Let's see. And then she also said, do you have tips on what to include in your GBP landing page? Some gave a formula once.
In your what, sorry?
GBP landing page. I think you're talking about the URL that.
Yes. Do you mean as in which page you should link through to?
Oh, no, I was more about what to put on the landing page. Someone wants.
Well, there's a free course on the BrightLocal. I've got 2 courses on the BrightLocal Academy. One is location landing pages, and the one that is launching, I think I'm recording it next week, is other content for local SEO. So the location page course is that's the answer to that one. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And then let's see, Alexander asked, is it better to manage products via Merchant Center?
2 different things. So the product editor was mostly made for businesses that don't have the type of stock that they could use the Merchant Center for. I work with businesses that use both. So yes, if you've got, what's it called, Pointy, if you've got the type of business that can use Pointy or whatever the other things are to integrate that, because there needs to be some sort of system. The businesses I know that use products are just like, yeah, here are 4 handmade combs that I made, and it's not going to sell like that. But both, it's different, but use both if you can.
Yeah. Let's see. Bill pointed out to Karen's question. He said, and a really good point, it's a good time to add maybe a handyman to their portfolio and send inquiries to to have somebody, maybe it's a referral back and forth, or that's somewhere you can say, if you get them, you send them out and have other contacts. Let's see. Nice. John asks, is it okay to use product section feature for services since it shows more on desktop and takes up a lot of real estate?
I think that lots of people do, but you need to go and look at Google's guidelines for products, because it made Google business profile products have to be in line with products. Go and have a little look. I think that you're okay until it's not okay. I definitely agree. I know now I typically do, but you got to watch it because Google changes their guidelines, and so you need to. I don't know anyone that's had a problem with it. Either. It's not like you'll lose your listing or something, but I just think that there will, you could set it up. But just be aware that it's not necessarily within the guidelines as they are.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Claire. I really appreciate you coming on and joining us and giving us so much wonderful information. Very, very helpful. So I wanted to thank everybody for coming and let you all know that our next meetup is Wednesday, February the 8th at 11:30. We have and that's Eastern Standard. We already have our topic. So Andy and I are on ahead of things now. We've got Elizabeth Rule with Sterling Sky. She's going to join us. Yes. And she's going to talk about how to create and rank unique local content for multi-location businesses. But she's also going to include a lot of stuff in there that's for single location businesses as well. So definitely join us for that. And while you're marking dates down on March 8th, that's March 8th. Andy's going to be talking to us a little bit about OpenAI's Chat GPT. You've probably heard about that, but that's what we're going to be talking about in March. And then finally, I meant to mention this at the beginning, but for those of you all who have been wondering when there's going to be a new WordCamp out, so if you haven't gotten your tickets to WordCamp Birmingham, it is going to be, and that's Alabama. It is going to be February the 4th through the 5th, and you can just go to wpyall.com. It's $50 for those 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday, February 4th and 5th. So definitely make sure you come to that. I will be, yes, Melanie is going to be there speaking. Beth is going to speak. I'm going to be speaking. So definitely come and join us, and we will see you all there. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you all next month. Bye, everyone. Thank you.